what I'm going to read in November and setting up my reading journal for the month. I've got some good ones lined up for the month. 2 books that I'm reading to finish up the All by Colleen Hoover challenge that I committed to doing this year. A second book by Anthony Doerr, and I'm also reading a book that people are calling spellbinding and luminous and haunting and beautiful. It's a short list for the month, so here we go. All right, let me quick share my screen with you so you can see what I'm seeing and doing as I set up this reading journal. All right, so as usual, I'm going to start with the books that my book clubs are going to be reading. Again, this month, just one book club happening again, and we are reading the Anthony Doerr book, Cloud Cuckoo Land, right? So I'll just pop it right here in the number one fiction spot for November. And then I'm just going to pop it over here on the book review page, and then we're all ready to go. So, I try not to learn very much about a book before I read it. I kind of like to go in a little bit blind. So I don't know much about the book except what's on the blurb. But here's what I know about Cloud Cuckoo Land, other than the title is fantastic. I don't know what the title means, but it's super fun. All right, published in 2021. It was a finalist for the National Book Award for Fiction. It was longlisted for the Carnegie Medal for Excellence in Fiction, and like a whole bunch of publications named it Best Book of the Year. Anyways, here's what this story is about, I think. I haven't read it yet. It's apparently the story of 5 characters over 8 centuries. So we're starting with a seamstress and a soldier in 15th century Constantinople. Then we've got a present day grandfather, maybe, who works in a library, and a teenager who I guess gets involved with a group of eco-terrorists. I don't know, because he's trying to blow up the library, which I don't understand. And then there's a young girl in the 22nd century who is on a spaceship heading for another planet. And it seems like all 5 of these people discover an ancient Greek book titled Cloud Cuckoo Land. And that book tells the story of a shepherd's quest to find paradise in the sky. I don't know. So it's like a story within a story with 5 different characters and 3 different time periods whose lives are like somehow intertwined. And I feel like this could be confusing. Like when I read People of the Book by Geraldine Brooks, that was also about a bunch of different people in a bunch of different locations in like a bunch of different centuries. And there was an ancient manuscript involved. So I take notes, right? Because I am not the kind of person who quits on a great book just because I can't remember who this character is when they go missing and then pop up again 4 chapters later. So we're reading Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr for book club. Next up is a book that we were supposed to be reading for my Book Tales book club, but we put that book club / podcast on hold for now. So technically it's not a book club book for me this month, but it's a book I really want to read. So I'm reading it. How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu. I know I'm saying his name wrong. So this is another book that was on all sorts of award lists, right? People are calling it gorgeous, terrifying, compassionate, wondrous, reality shredding. And my favorite description of all, it's brave and prescient, completely bananas, and absolutely moving, packed with humor and heart. I mean, okay, I'm in. Except Here we go again with the story that follows a bunch of characters over hundreds of years. So the book starts in 2030, I think, with an archaeologist arriving in the Arctic Circle to continue the work of his recently deceased daughter. She was part of a team of researchers who were studying things in the Arctic Circle, right, that were buried in the snow, but now they're popping up as the snow melts, the glacier, something's melting. Something is melting because yeah, climate change is real, folks. It's 2030, the glaciers are melting, and they've just found the perfectly preserved remains of a girl who died of an ancient virus, which apparently gets unleashed again on the world, which is just great. Anyways, so we've got the archaeologist in 2030, but then there's also a theme park employee who falls in love with the mom whose child is, I guess, infected with the virus. There's a scientist looking for a cure for the virus who ends up with a talking pig. And then there's a woman and her grandfather who go into space, I think, to find a new planet to live on. I mean, this sounds a bit like Cloud Cuckoo Land, and so how weird is it that I'm randomly reading both of these books this month? It's kind of weird and kind of cool. So yeah, How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu. Still saying that wrong. Next is a book that I had on my TBR for October, but I didn't finish it. Starry Messenger by DeGrasse Tyson. So I'm just going to move it from October into November. And if you want to know what that's about and why I've been wanting to read it, check out the October Plan With Me video right here. I'm not going to say anything else about it right now, except to say that it isn't what I was expecting. And you'll have to come back for the November wrap up if you want to know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? So if you haven't hit the notification bell, hit it now so you won't miss the wrap-up video when I post it. Okay, finally, we've got the last two books I might ever read by Colleen Hoover. She's written 24 books so far, and I've read 22 of them this year. And while there have been a few that I enjoyed, and one that totally blew me away, I am really happy to be reading the last two and finishing up this challenge this month. So what are the last two? All right, Too Late and Never Never. So let's start with Too Late, the updated edition, which is apparently a barn burner, if you can believe the New York Post, which I can't. As a rule, basically, I am not a New York Post kind of New Yorker. Okay, so this book is about a woman named Sloane who somehow finds herself in a relationship with a notorious drug trafficker called Asa Jackson. So Sloane's becoming emotionally and economically attached to the drug dealer, and the drug dealer is becoming dangerously obsessed with her. But then undercover DEA agent Carter shows up, and of course Sloane is attracted to him, but she can't be with him because if the drug trafficker finds out, Carter is going to be dead, right? And so is she probably. So the story is apparently about how Sloane and DEA agent Carter find a way to get together and get out of that like dark romantic relationship with the bad man. And I guess they have to find a way out before it's too late. So then the last one is Never Never. And this one I think sounds kind of good, which is why I've kept it for last, right? If you remember, it was on my TBR in September, I think, but I didn't get to it in September. So I moved it over to October But then I thought like I'd save it for last, since I think it sounds good and I kind of want to finish the challenge on a high note. So Never Never is about two high school students who have been best friends forever, and they're now like in a romantic relationship. But they wake up one day and they have lost all of their memories. And so they are total strangers to each other. And of course, they have to figure out what happened, like what happened to their memories and why it happened. And I kind of think this could be good, right? And there we have it, my November reading list. That's my November reading list. I don't know. What do you think? I think it could be a good November. I will definitely let you know. And I'll let you know if any of my November reads are book club worthy. And if they are, I'll be sure to share some of the things you could talk about with your book club after you've read the book. If that sounds like something you'd love, make sure you're subscribed to my channel and make sure you've hit the bell so you'll be notified when those videos come out. I've got you covered. We read different. In the meantime, if you're reading or thinking about reading Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis, you might want to check out this video. And if you're curious about People of the Book by Geraldine Brooks, I talked about it earlier, have a look at this one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.